everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Dance Talk Realness, a podcast where we discuss all nuances concerning education and dance, because a dance experience is an experience worth talking about. I'm your host, Truly B, and today I am joined by our awesome guest, Miss Camille Weanquoi. Am I saying your name right?
Yes, you
You
got it
better
good on the
praise him.
first try. You better say the last name correct.
Because sis, I was like, I think this is how she say it.
Yes.
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 All right, so clearly, if you're not getting this vibe yet, I've known Camille for a while now. Daryl has also, and Daryl will be joining us briefly. As you all know, he is still an active educator in the school system. So when things come up at school, he does have to handle that because that is the job that pays him right now.
Yeah, yes.
I'm not balling yet. When I get there, we'll be there, but we're not there yet. So before we let me go on into my fangirl moment that I just be having with all my guests, because
Oh, you
I just
fine.
know amazing people. You will be so kind as to tell our audience a little bit about yourself. Basically your dance journey that has gotten you from getting introduced to the art form and made you the person you are today.
Well, okay, so yes, hey, I'm Camille. Um I started at 3. My
Mhm.
mom took me to like one of the local schools ballet classes at like one of the local high schools, and she was like, "You need to take class," because I was at somebody's wedding, some wedding they attended, and I just never left the dance floor. Like they tried to pull
Mhm.
me off the dance floor. I was kicking and screaming and crying. So my mom was just like, "Okay, you're gonna be on somebody's class." And that's literally how my mom has guided my entire dance life. Like, you're gonna be somewhere and you're gonna be dancing. So I literally started at 3. And at 3 we don't know nothing. So
Look,
technically I started at 7. I
facts.
started dancing at the La Roque Bay School of Dance, which is in Harlem, New York. And then from there, I transitioned into going to Harlem School of the Arts, which was a phenomenal experience. I got to dance with people that now I'm like, yo, you were dancing with freaking urban bush women in your teens. Like you were
Mm.
learning choreography from Rod Rogers himself. Like you're
Sis.
like
It's like,
blown. Like you don't think about those things as a teenager. You're just like, I want to dance. I'm gonna dance. So I literally was there. I was a scholarship student, so we were tasked with taking ballet, tap, jazz, African, point, all the things, being an
mm.
all type of versatile dancer. And that was a wonderful experience. And then from there, I transitioned into going to college. I went to Winston-Salem State University because I thought I was going to quit dance and be a middle school teacher.
It's like,
That's another story for a
but you
whole nother
didn't though.
day. So
But you
I
didn't though.
graduated. I actually, in my senior year, so hilarious. I told my parents in my senior year, I'm going to go back to school after I leave school and get this dance degree. And my mom was like, I knew it all the time. My dad was like, who paying for
Look, I'm about to say, because look, let me tell you which parent I am. Your father. Like, who
who's paying
paying?
for this? But I appreciate that experience going to Winston-Salem State because it allowed me to see how much I missed that creative outlet, that creative push.
Mm.
So I graduated from there, and then I went to the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. I got my undergrad in dance, did my dream passion degree, and now I'm here in Baltimore, teaching dances of the African diaspora at various different studios, guest teaching, guest choreographer, and now I'm an MFA student come this summer at
Woo!
Wilson College. Ooh, girl, we're gonna talk about this
I
experience
got you. I
after
got you. I
after
got you.
it's a whole new world, but I am just, yeah, dance has been literally a part of shaping and molding who I am, and community and dance
Mm.
go hand in hand for me. Dance has been a part of my community, and I have grown within learning about community through dance. So,
Hmm.
yeah, that's been me.
And I think similar to that, because as I've shared on here multiple times, my initial intro into the arts was as a musician. And similar to you, that I would just come home from church and I would sit at the piano and I would just start picking out
Right.
all the songs that we were singing in church. And they were like, but you're going to take somebody's piano lessons. You about to be doing this because
Exactly.
clearly this is the life you're about. And then I was introduced to dance in high school because I was raggedy. I didn't want to be a music major because it was harder. And so
Mm,
I said I'll be a performing arts major. So I could still take all the classes,
right.
but I wasn't held accountable for like theory and all that. Cause I'm like, oh, but that's boring. I don't want to do that part. So I'm gonna be this good old performing arts major, completely raggedy. And I'm very aware that I was horrible for that. But
Mm,
that's when I was introduced to dance. And then from there, through my first undergrad experience, took a couple of dance classes here and there, kept getting kind of called back to, and I was like, man, I really wish I could do this. But I remember vividly my parents telling me, they were like, all right, so look, you're gonna have to pick one of these
right, right.
because this is money. If we buy you this trombone, that's what you're doing. And for me at a young age, because to this day, lazy than a mug, I was like, I don't have to work for music. It
Mm,
was easy.
mm,
Band director said, this is
right.
what this is. I said, okay. And they could play it. No issue. So I was like,
Natural.
that sounds like I'm going to get an A. So I'm going to go ahead and be over here where I know I'm going to get the A.
Right.
Whereas with dance, it was like, okay, but someone has to explain this to me. Like, I need you to run that back. I
Hmm.
get it in my head. My body's not doing what I'm thinking it's doing, though. I
Right,
have to
right.
work at that. And so I had to table it, but then going back into it, I think one of my strong suits is I approach dance as a musician. And so I have a different understanding of movement and musicality that I thought everybody had. Not
Mm,
true. Not the
mm.
case. And I was like, oh, y'all really don't hear that in the music? Like, I understand why the movement is doing this because the music did that. And they said it
Hmm.
goes there. So those things went together. And people are like, I don't hear that. Like, how do you count that? I'm like, how don't you count that? Like, what? Like, you don't
Right.
confusion. So I definitely agree with or I relate to the from itty bitty person being immersed.
Hmm.
And I found my initial community within music, um, which is the segue into your suggestion, sis. Because when you sent me
Listen,
this topic idea, I was like, but can we talk about it?
but can we
Because,
talk?
because, because it was the year of my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, 2021, when I started solidifying my dance community.
Right.
We're talking about this current year.
It's okay. It's all good.
And I was like, so when you sent that, and I'm like, but can we talk about what is going on with this lack of consistent support? We'll say that because I won't say there's none, because clearly we're able to build our communities
Right.
within dance,
Right.
but it seems to be more of that crabs in a barrel mentality
Come
than what
through.
I have seen in any of the other arts. And
Come.
it confuses me because I'm like, but why are we like this? Like, can we
But
not?
why? But why? Can
So,
we just have that yes.
can we though? So, bring me to what really sparked the idea to want to discuss this for you.
So I teach at various different dance studios throughout Baltimore.
Mhm.
And previously coming to Baltimore, I lived in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And the thing about North Carolina is um, the the very few and far in between there is for studios to be like in direct competition with each other, right? So it's not like, oh, well, I'm mad at you because you have more students than me. Look at where we are. There is no competition. That you- It's no
Facts.
competition. And I
Facts.
was in Greensboro, North Carolina at the
Hmm.
time. So like the amount of competition that was there, there wasn't as many. There were dance studios, but we all knew each other.
Hmm.
And we fostered a sense of, okay, you have so and so as your teacher, and she teaches your students. Oh, she also teaches here. No
Hmm.
biggie. I moved to Maryland and I got my first studio contract. And I read the tiny little print where it said, you cannot teach the X amount of miles. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes. It's
You
like,
cannot teach X amount of miles away from the X amount of miles. And I'm like, okay. So I'm a New Yorker. And then in New York, you know how many dance studios there are.
child.
You know how the dance community is. We all, whether we know it or not, know each other. We
Hmm.
have worked with each other. We have been in community with each other. Some of us even went to high school, college, and all the things with each other. So the overwhelming sense of you can't work with them because
Hmm.
you work with me became such like an issue for me when I moved to Maryland because I would go to like, for example, New York, students would take classes at Broadway Dance Center, also be enrolled at Dance Theater of Harlem or someplace else
Hmm.
at the same time, and there was never an issue. A teacher could teach at Broadway Dance Center, at ALE, at DTH, or any other local dance studio, and it would never be an issue. When I came to Maryland, it instantly became, oh, you work with them? But I'm like, isn't the goal to teach the children?
Is that not the goal?
I thought that was
Because
the goal.
I thought
I thought that was the overall goal. Mm, let me
apparently
let me pick my chin
we
up.
we missed we missed the memo.
I'm,
Cause like,
I thought the goal was to teach the children to give them the best opportunity
hmm,
to advance in a career, or if they don't want a career in dance, to advance in art and have a personal connection with art that
hmm,
truly opens their eyes to the world. And that's how I am as a teacher. I don't
yes,
care if we are 5 miles away from each other, the overall theme is the
hmm,
students. And I was like, all right, fine. I don't mind. That's your personal contracts. That's the way you run that's not an issue. But then it became head to head competition. I don't
mm.
like you because you teach over here. Wait, what?
Excuse me.
We're both dance teachers. I would love to share my resources with you on how I help this student
Hmm.
fix her alignment. Let's talk. No? Oh, you don't, because I teach
Yes.
over there at that studio because you don't like that studio because they also have students that you also cater to.
Hmm.
I'm confused. Is that the goal to teach the
Isn't it supposed to
It's
be
supposed
the
to
goal?
be the
Oof.
goal, but it becomes then less about the children and more about your personal, let's just go there, your ego, and
Yes.
not feeling like you can be the center and the best in that particular
Hmm.
area. But that's not it. That's
And
not it.
like that energy is not only in the studios,
Oh, no, it's not.
it
Oh,
is
no, it's not.
also in these schools in this area. And now that you've mentioned it, because I lived in North Carolina for, I think, what went down in 2002 for about 6 years.
Mhm.
And now that you mention it, I don't recall there ever being this level of competition.
Right, right.
And I'm not gonna hold you. There's a couple places that I'm just like, but I won't ever recommend y'all. Like, and if you go to this studio, please know I'm side eye in class. Let me see what you about. Which is based upon personal experiences with people in charge. I'm gonna try not to be
Right.
messy today. I'm gonna try
Oh
because
no.
there's really just like this one studio in particular. It's two. It's two.
Oh, we're
It
gonna
might be
pray.
three. Okay, you know
We're
what?
gonna
Look,
pray. We're gonna
to be
pray
fair, I
for.
am biased. Um, if you really are instructing and really teaching children, I'm here for you.
Right.
No problem. My issue came in that like in this area, um, the focus is very much so on competition dance.
Yes.
and not training.
Yes.
And I'm like, but you can do both though. Like, you can do both. And I forever shout out the studio my kids go to, Dance Dimensions, Forestville, Maryland. Dakia Lambert is over it. I always shout them out because they do both. And I'm like, literally, I'm watching it in action. You
And it's
can
an
have the
opportunity
best
to
of
do
both
both.
worlds. Like,
And it's very, very doable. It's very doable.
it
it is
is.
because I actually teach at a studio that also offers competition. But the thing that we very much stress is you will not get on stage and not know how to turn. You will not get
Thank
on
you.
stage and not know how to pull up and lift up from the proper
Say a
areas that you're
word.
supposed to lift up from.
Thank
But,
you.
you know, it, everyone has their everyone has their niche, and I knock it
Yes.
none. Everyone's allowed to pursue the art in their way, and everyone's allowed to interpret it in the way that works best for them. And that is cool. Things that
Yeah.
allow children to really tap into their natural abilities. I'm all for it because I'm always for the children first and
Mm-hmm.
foremost. But I'm also aware of the fact that there are things that we as adults can hinder children from having
Mm-hmm.
because of personal hangups.
Yes.
And that is what's that's where we are as a
Mm-hmm.
community or
Yes.
lack of a community
Yes.
because you don't allow for this person who might have the resources, the
Mm-hmm.
skills, and the experience to come in and teach your children because they work at Studio X down the block.
Mm-hmm.
But this person has the resources, the skills, the experience, and can come in and give your children what they need, give your students what they
Yes.
need. But you're hung up on that. Well, I didn't hire you first. No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or I don't really like the fact that you're moving over there and working with those people over there. You can't come over here. It's like you can't play in our sandbox type of stuff.
Yes. Yes.
I'm
And
like, are we just older than we got to be better than
but I think it comes back to what you were saying. Like, it's the ego.
right.
And full disclosure, the people who I'm just like, ew, childish, fully admit. But it is less of a, oh, well, because you know what? Real talk, it's not the people teaching for them. I wouldn't mind them coming in. It's literally the leadership. And I
Right.
think that's where my issue is within the community is that the people who have these leadership roles
Right.
continue to perpetuate that idea of, okay, well, if you over here, you can only be over here. And
Competition.
my way, oh, that's the part that blows me.
It's the
My way is
competition
the only way. And
is
I'm
the only
like,
way.
but it's not.
But it's not. But
But
it's
it's not.
not. Oh gosh.
Like,
And that is where we get to a place where we get stuck.
mm-hmm.
You can be an owner of a studio and not know what's going on in the overall dance world
Yes.
because you're stuck in your dance world. It's knowledge of within the sphere of your awareness, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are only knowledgeable based off of the things that is within your awareness.
Yeah.
But there could be things happening in the dance world that could, like, for example, I'll share experience. We open here, so I'm gonna
Yes.
share.
Be real,
I
sis. Be
shared.
real.
I once worked at a studio years ago, and I explained like, "Yo, the dance world is changing. Let's get connected to IABD. Let's
Mm.
take these children here. Let's take these children here. Let's try to fundraise and get them these opportunities to be in this type of space, so they can see beyond this
Yeah.
dance world. They can see something outside of this."
Mm-hmm.
And I was told, well, we don't want to do that. So I was just like, oh, okay. I won't be here next year.
Look, because why
But
would you not want to?
I understand that it's your way or the highway. I never try to bump heads with people
Yeah.
who it's been their passion to own a dance studio, because quite honestly, it's not my passion.
Not
It
my
is not my
testimony.
ministry.
It is
It
not.
is not my testimony, right? It is not. I already know I am not to own a dance studio. I've
Hmm.
worked for many dance studios, and I'm very clear.
Yes.
I'm very clear. That's a level of things I don't
Mm-mm.
want to do.
I don't
But
want
if
it.
you want me to come and teach, if you want me to offer my expertise and then introduce them to a world outside of themselves, oh, I
Yes.
got you. I'm connected to people here. I'm connected to people there. I'm going to do that. That is what I
Yes.
do, and that's what you're hiring me to do. But if I'm offering you a suggestion that could potentially help boost what you're offering to the
Hmm.
children, don't be so quick to say, well, it's my way or the highway, because
Yeah.
oftentimes that puts you in a stuck place. And instead of growing as a studio or growing as a school or growing as a school dance program, university dance program, you're stuck in that one way of doing things. And then you're wondering why nobody's coming to you or why people are leaving. Come on, come on.
Look,
It's
look,
2021. Come on now. It's
look.
2021.
And it's teaching these young dancers
Yes,
to continue to not build the community.
right. They go into spaces, and then this is what we all experience. And I can speak to this as a college student going to a predominantly white school
Hmm.
and being one of the few black dancers, and one of the few black dancers in a university dance program. All we had was community.
Look,
When we needed to vent about that professor trying to do that improv sequence for 3 daggone weeks, like, when are we learning? We gonna do improv again Tuesday and Thursday for the next
yes.
what are we learning? Right?
Like, and I'm like, I am always here for some good old improv, but
I'm here for
also,
it, but
can we
how
learn
many
something to
how many
add
weeks?
to?
This ain't even an improv class. Come
Woo! Wait,
on.
like, but this is not the course though.
This is not the course
Like that
for it.
course is at 3.
We're
This is
stuck.
a different course.
This is not even the, you know what I'm saying? But if it wasn't for community,
Hmm.
I would not have had the space to
Mm.
mentally continue on in that program. I would have
Yeah.
been defeating myself. I would have had self-esteem issues out the woo-zang,
Hmm.
trying to figure out who I am within this dance space. And that is a very important thing we have to stress to our youth, and we have to model it with our
Mm.
youth,
Yeah.
creating community that doesn't um uh that doesn't really exemplify competition,
Hmm.
like not fake community. Let me be clear. Not like, hey
Yes.
girl, and then she walks away. I can't
Like,
stand her
like,
dances because they got flat feet and all.
yes. Yes.
Right? Right? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Not that type of thing. Like when I see you and your dancers, it's all like, hey, go up to that young lady and tell her she did a wonderful job.
Yeah.
Go up to her, and even if y'all are in, which I've experienced, we have students who go to professional, not even dance programs within the city or the county, whether it's like a BSA or within
Hmm.
Baltimore County, we have Patapsco High School that has the dance programs, and Carver and
Yeah.
Milford. We have these different schools that have dance programs in them. Now, some students might not have gone to the upper echelon program. Maybe they're in one of the other high school dance programs. What you're supposed to still do is create that sense of community. Like, hey, girl, yes, hey, brother, hey, sister, however you want to address them. Hey,
Hmm.
y'all. Y'all did that. I saw y'all on stage. You are such a
Yes.
beautiful dancer. Thank you for dancing. I can't wait to dance with you in this setting. Because what happens? They go to college with each other.
Don't they though?
The high school gets left where high school is, and then
Doesn't it though?
they go to college with each other, and then it's like you've breeded this spirit of competition
Hmm.
between them. So when they see them in college, they're like, oh, she didn't get to go to this high school. She went
Yeah.
to that dance program. What? What?
Yes.
But they wind up in the same university. They auditioned both at the same time, and they're still there. Create that community now. Teach the
Hmm.
young ones how to do that. And how we do that is by modeling it with ourselves. If I see another dance teacher from another dance studio, we might not be, we might teach differently, or we might not be in the same, style of dance. I'm still not going to treat her like an other.
Yes.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to approach her as an other. That's or him as an other. That's just a no.
Yeah.
That's a no. Because this community of dancers, specifically in Maryland, most certainly, is very small but then very big at the
Hmm.
same time.
It
Very
is.
small and big at the same time. So we have to foster closeness. Even if you not really sure how to do that, we have to figure it out. we
Hmm.
we got to figure it out.
And like, I think step one is getting over yourself, because your way is not the only way.
Yeah.
Clearly, because if your way was the only way, all these other places wouldn't exist
Be open.
and
Be
be
open to
thriving.
yes, yeah.
So clearly, your way isn't the only one. And also centering what's the most important, the student's education. I'm like, I
Hmm.
went into dance education specifically to give a quality dance education to students who couldn't afford to go to studios.
Right.
That is why I did K-12,
Mm.
because I was like, well, I'm gonna need a license to do that. So guess we're doing this track now.
Right.
Also the health insurance, because
Hallelujah. I
that
say
by
amen.
far
All
the
the
best health
things.
insurance I've ever had in my life. The best. But that was always my approach. And even now, teaching collegiate level, I tell students all the time, if I don't know how to do it, I guarantee you I have a friend who does. I will call them. Like, hey, don't you want to come do this
Immediately.
workshop? Don't you want to come do a
Right.
master class? You want to come set a
Right.
piece?
Right.
Because like, I am always good for hip hop. No, no, it's not me. I am horrible. It is tragic to watch me do it. Hilariously so.
It's
And it's
okay.
like, but I
It's all
have
right.
friends
But
who
I
this
have
is
friends.
their thing.
Community.
Let me
Right.
call them.
Right.
Like, oh
Exactly.
my God, the absolute worst, ballet.
It's all
Child,
good. We
I
had to
will
take
cry
it.
through a class.
We
He's
had
under
to-
sobbing at the bar, sobbing, knowing that we still have center. We still got to go across. We still have whole combination, like
Hold.
sobbing on the plies because I know what's about to go down. But I have friends who I'm like, let me holler at you. Come help my kids with this. Or if
Right.
you can't come in, give me some things I can impart to them. And when I do, I let them know, all right, Miss Camille said do this. So this is what we gonna do. Give her the
Right.
credit though, because child, y'all know me. I
You
don't know.
have to. The thing, and that is, I mean, like when you're in a place when you think that you're the end all be all,
Mm,
and you don't allow for your students to get the best that they need. I know
yes.
I'm not a tap dancer. I used to tap because I had to take it. And I thought I was going to be a whole Savion Glover. And
Yes.
then that changed completely at 13. It went, "Woo, not
You're like,
having it."
so
Was
no.
like, it's a wrap. But I know I don't tap. And I
Mm-hmm.
know that. And I'm very clear. I haven't tapped. And I'm not going to date myself, but 20
Yes.
some odd years
She's
haven't
like, when
tapped.
I
When I
stopped then.
stopped, I stopped. Okay. But I know that if I want my students to have this, let's do a master class and bring in this person that I know
Mm-hmm.
here who can
Yeah.
like completely give you a breakdown of the history and the culture behind tap dance, not just give you the steps, but give you the whole thorough
Yes.
history.
Yes.
I'm going to bring
Yes.
them in. And that is how we show students like, okay, yes, my teacher might be the awesome teacher that they are, but
Mm-hmm.
she is allowing for other people to come into the space to fill me up and to pour into
Yes.
me. I we got to get over the ego thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Yes.
you got to be aware of that. And when you're
Yes.
aware of it, you then are allowing opportunities for your students to grow, for you to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, for you
Look,
to grow,
facts.
because some teachers ain't been to a
Oh,
continuing development
child.
professional anything.
Let
They
me
like
tell you how
I
that is
started
crazy
and
to
that's it.
me.
I'm like, how you think you're gonna continue to be a
Yeah.
teacher in the 21st century and you haven't been? to anything since the 20th century.
Look,
But
that
I'm
part.
saying, like, the dance world is evolving. So you
Hmm.
have to allow yourself to say, I don't know it all. And let me
Mm,
create a community around me and what I do so that I can have the resources I need. When
exactly.
I don't know this. Let me call, hello, can you come?
Yes.
Because I need some support. I'm just saying.
And that right there, to know that you have that support. And I'm like, how
Hmm.
do you not want to have that? And
Right.
like I one of the things I miss from being in the school system is I had, and they're still part of my circle,
Yeah.
but easier access to other dance teachers who were a part that I was just like, y'all, this lesson is horrible. Please help. How
Help
did
me.
you teach this in such a way that it worked? Give me some suggestions. Let me pull on this. Let me pull on that. Like let me implement this
Yeah.
instead of me just say, I know what I know. We're gonna do it like this. That's it. And if I don't know it, guess what? Y'all not gonna get that lesson right there because
It's
this
oh
is
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And it's
It's
a disservice to the kids. I
come on. I was
as
just about
much
to say
as and
that.
I'm like I am an whole I'm a complete asshole sometimes, and I know that about me because I'm like that on
It's all
purpose.
good. It's all good.
And I 100% be like, man, f them kids. I'm sick of kids. I don't
F
even
them
like people's
kids.
kids. I'm always like that. But on the flip of that coin, I'm like, I chose a career where
Hmm.
I consciously went in saying,
Right.
I want these kids to be better off when they leave me. I
Right.
want wherever you go after me, that you're already prepared. You already know what they're
Right.
doing.
Right.
And when I've had students come back and they're like, you were right. Like I got there and they're like, okay, we're going to learn this new thing. And they're like, I did this in high school. Like
Boom.
I learned
Boom.
that.
I
I know
love
how to
those
do this.
experiences.
And
I
I'm
love
like,
those.
I did not say that this was
Did not.
going to
I
come up.
love those
You're welcome.
experiences.
And I love that so much
I do
because
too.
that to me says I did what I set out to do. I
Right.
don't need you to be the next big name. I just need you to be prepared.
Be prepared. And that is what we're doing. I tell you, I could write a book if I needed to, but I'm not going to.
Look, save
I
that.
have had
Save that for your
situations.
thesis for
Oh
the
Lord, we
master.
talk about
Save
the
it.
thesis. Oh
Save it for
Lord, we're
that.
gonna talk about that
Use that. Use
after.
that.
Use that. But I have had experiences where I've had a student come up to me and tell me I was wrong
Hmm.
because I taught them something that was different from what a teacher
Hmm.
had taught them for years.
Hmm.
And they were like, no, so and so taught us this,
Hmm.
and this is what it is, and try to argue me down. And I wanna hug the child and be like, I'm so sorry that this teacher was stuck in their ways.
Yeah.
But, I just explained to
Yeah.
them, there are more than one way. There is more than one way to do this.
Yeah.
And let me show you this way. And it just reminds me in my mind of the fact that that teacher who they were for that student, and that student
Mm.
held on to the fact that that one teacher didn't let go of their ego, that they
Yeah.
specifically wanted to teach something from a place of not being correct. I'll just say that they weren't correct in what they were
Yeah.
teaching, but they
Hmm.
consistently wanted to teach this way incorrectly. So
Yes.
this child was coming to me trying to share with me, hey, you're wrong. Meanwhile, I'm like, if you go into an audition and say that to somebody else about
Oh,
this
yes.
this particular dance step that you're telling me I'm wrong, but the entire room is looking at you like, why is she saying that word for this step? That doesn't make sense.
Yes.
Yeah, it's because your teacher refused to get some more support. Your teacher
Hmm.
refused to let their ego just be put to the side to say, you know what, I've taught you the wrong terminology for this
Say
step.
that.
And that I'm so sorry that you're going into this audition with this terminology in your head and you're wrong. That's how you
I
set your children, your students
I
up for
have had
failure.
to circle back and be like, y'all, so I was wrong. That is not what
And
that
it's
really is.
okay to say you're
I was like,
wrong.
let me correct.
You know what I
This is
mean?
what this really is, y'all. My
Mm-hmm.
bad. And it just keeps coming back to letting that ego go.
Just let
Now,
it
real
go.
talk, I would have been like, man, F this kid for trying to correct me. I have that. That's always my jerk knee reaction, man, F you. And I'm
I
like,
mean,
okay, truly wait. Don't be like that. Don't be
it
like that.
happens. No, you're not. I mean, you're not wrong because I've had some
But then
moments where
also,
I'm like, "Are you trying to
like,
correct me?" But then I
whoo,
have to pull myself back and
yes.
say,
But then it's like,
"Am I
okay.
wrong though? Let me look at my
Yeah.
book. Let me
I
look
was
at
like,
what
let
I
me
wrote.
check.
Let me
Let me,
check. Oh, you know what?
oh, I'm not.
Actually, let's see. Let's replace this word for this actual word. This is what it actually means.
Yes.
But you got to be
Yes.
in a place where,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, let me call my friend
Yes.
and double check on this lesson plan that I just
Yes.
wrote out because I didn't say this quite, and it didn't come across to these students quite well. So let me get some support on how, okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I did this wrong. Okay, next week I'm going to fix it. But you got
Yes.
to be in that place. And that is
Yes.
where we get stuck, and then the students are the ones who bear the brunt of our
Yes, they
mistakes,
do.
of our lack of saying, okay, ego, let me put you on the corner. You on timeout, ego. You on
Ugh.
timeout. You got to be in that place. But first, you had to have created some type of safe community for yourself to say, let me talk to you about this that
Yes.
I did in class, and I'm not really sure if I'm correct. Can I run this by you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly that. Because if we have a community to fall back on, then we're demonstrating for them it's okay. Like because at least a lot of teachers, I know all of them don't, but a lot correctly try to inform students it's okay to make a mistake.
Right.
Like, baby, that's the whole purpose of class right now. Mess
Hello.
up here so you don't
Mess
mess
up
up on
here.
stage. Mess up here.
That is the that.
And part of me being like, I'm high key not comfortable with making mistakes, but that's just me in life in general.
That's all good.
But the part of me that is able to work through that and to talk myself off the ledge and say, it's fine, it's going to be okay. What can you learn from this? Is the part that knew I had that community to fall back on.
Hmm.
That if I really could not figure it out, I had someone I could call. That if I was really crying and struggling my way through a ballet class, somebody's going to come check in on me and be like, okay, well, here, maybe try it like this because this is what helped me get it.
Listen,
And for them to see that we are people, because I will harp on that. I'll die on that hill. Teachers are people.
you have to explain
And
that
to
to the
show
students.
them that we as people value community teaches them to do the same. So instead of me being like you were saying, like when I see you and we go to different schools, then be like, hmm,
Hey, girl, hey.
hey. They're
Right,
like,
right,
sis, you better do those sweat tays. Yes. Like you were killing it.
yes.
Oh my God. Like, let me follow you on like
Demonstrating.
what's your IG?
Hmm.
Like, can you show me how to do that?
Right, right. It's that spirit of competition we gotta crush. We
Yes.
have to tell, we have
Unhealthy
to
competition.
unhealthy competition
Yes.
because
Mm-hmm.
there are levels of, yes, I see this girl and I want to get to where she is. And
Yes.
that's fine. Oh, I
Yes.
see him and I see where he is and I want to get to where he is. That's fine. Sometimes that spurs us in the direction of, let me do my work. Let me be on my
Mm.
job. Let me do
Mm-hmm.
my research. Let me stretch. Let me do all the things so I can become this
Yes.
quality, teacher or this quality,
Yes.
performer or whatever. That's healthy. But when
Yes.
it becomes a place of like, I'm looking at you with the side eye every daggone time I see you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm throwing, verbal jabs behind
Yes.
your back. I'm constantly throwing, the shade out there. Oh, she don't really know how to teach. She
Mm-hmm.
just got them students a couple of days ago, and she got them students from
Yes.
another studio, so she don't really know how to teach them. Ma'am, sir, no, no. Like, what is the point? Like
Yeah.
everyone is out here for it is specifically if you are a dance teacher and you went into this job, like you said, knowing that you wanted to impart information that was truly going to change a student's perspective of dance and how they fit in the
Mm-hmm.
world
Yeah.
in general, you need to really pay attention to that, your overall reason for wanting to do the
Mm-hmm.
job that you do.
Yes.
That's the whole goal of it all. Not,
Yes.
oh, well, I'm here, but I don't really like you, but you teach there and I teach. It becomes like, okay, really, sis? Really, bro?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why are we even doing this? Like, I teach this, for
Yes.
example, I teach students who also are being taught by other teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I share students with other teachers from other like school programs. Like, if they go to school during the day, I teach them at night after school and after,
Mm-hmm.
after school dance programs or studio settings.
Yeah.
Or they might take dance classes at one studio with me and dance classes at another studio with another teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to start talking crap to them, to my students about them? That's childish.
It is.
That doesn't help the child grow. And then that makes me look like a hater.
Yeah, look,
That makes me look,
look.
but the reality of it is, if I'm showing you, my student, how to grow and foster community,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to reach out to that teacher and be like, hey, so I know you're teaching so and so, and I know you're offering her this. I notice her struggles are this, this, and this. Maybe we can work together to address these issues. I know you have her during the day, I have her during the evening. Let me know if there's some things
Yeah.
you need me to work on with her after school.
Yes.
I'm
You
not your
see,
I'm not your enemy.
I'm
I'm not your
not.
competition.
I'm
I know
not.
what I do. I know what you do. And I might say something that might click in that student very
Mm-hmm.
differently from the way that you say it, or vice versa. You might say something
Exactly.
that clicks into that student way different from what I'm going to say. Does that make us wrong? Does that make us enemies?
Like it
Mm,
literally just makes
no.
the student better.
Boom.
Like
The
why don't we
overall goal of the whole situation.
literally yes, the whole
The
point.
whole point. The whole point. And I stress that a lot about like creating community around each
Mm,
other that creates community around our students, because
yes.
I'm like hit myself without strength, but creating a community around each other so we can create a community around our students. Our
Yeah.
students are going into a very different dance world than a lot of us went into it to begin with. It's not it's a lot more in your face, in my
Hmm.
opinion. It's a lot more critical
Mm,
and
yeah.
cancel-ish.
Yeah.
I'll say that you are going also up against a lot of different dancers who want it 10 times better than you.
Yes.
10
Child.
times.
For
They will
real.
go in, eat, sleep, dream,
Yeah.
breathe, and these students are also competing with the perception of social media dancing. Like social,
Yep.
like you have thousands of followers and look at her extension. Oh my gosh, do you see her leg is like I have to consistently deal with one of my students about that, addressing self-esteem, because she
Mm,
watches other dancers on IG
yeah.
and she's consistently comparing herself and consistently
Hmm.
comparing herself. But this is their dance world that they are experiencing.
Yeah.
So putting the layer of competition in the form of teachers competing on top of that is a no-no. They already got 10 times more on their plate.
Yeah. True.
Why we got to add to it?
True. Like, and it, because like the comparison to what they're seeing on social media,
Mm,
I remember saying to a class before, I was like, "Are you assuming that this is all like the first take?" I was like, "Do y'all ever really post the first picture you take of yourself?"
rarely,
And they were like,
rarely.
"Well, no, because I got to
No.
make sure like everything's like." I was like, "You think everyone else isn't doing that?"
Right,
Literally everyone does. Like it is rare for someone to just be like, "This was the first take. It
right,
is what it is. I'm gonna post it." It's like
right.
no, people want to put out that perception of I have it together, it's perfect, I'm great, which that's not necessarily a bad thing, but
Hmm.
when you internalize seeing that and you're assuming that this other person hasn't had
Has
any
it all.
struggles, hasn't
Yeah.
had to work for it,
Hmm.
that's where we start getting into okay, but guys, that's
Let's have
bad
some
math.
real conversations.
Real talk. Like, it's like, guys, that's not how that works. Like, you can't, that's like you're comparing yourself on your, and I've done this, guilty. We probably all have done it at some point. Comparing yourself at your worst to somebody at their best. It's not fair.
It's not.
Like, it's not fair to you.
Hmm.
It's not fair to them because you're assuming things about them. Like, I have quite a, like most of my dance friends, I'm like, work hard. I don't know too many of my dance friends that did not work hard for where they are.
Right.
Like, not,
Right.
I can't think of one off the top of my head where it's like, oh, yeah, it just all came natural. I just coasted my way to being infamous. It's great. No, they
Absolutely not.
worked their
They worked
asses
for it.
off. And so I'm just like, I can't, if I'm not putting in the work, number one, if I'm not putting in that type of work, I can't compare myself to someone who
Right.
did.
I have no reason to be doing that.
Like, that don't
No.
make no sense. So
Mm-mm.
let me just, and so what I tell students all the time is compare yourself to you. Are you better than you
Mhm.
were yesterday? Then that was
Yeah.
progress. We'll take it. We'll go with it
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
we'll build.
Mhm.
But in the sense of the community, there needs to be more people having this part of the conversation of, you can watch someone do something, let it inspire you,
Mhm.
let that open up a dialogue. So instead of me seeing you be epic at, I'm gonna always say fouette turns because I can't do them,
It's
but
all
like seeing
it's
you be,
okay.
seeing you
It's
be
not my
epic at them.
ministry either.
Look, instead
I'd
of
be like,
me, yes, you're like, I can tell you the mechanics of it,
I got the
and I
mechanics.
can teach my kids how to do them.
Right.
But me
Don't ask
personal,
me to show it more than one
nah,
time because I will be
tragedy.
like, one, that's
That's it.
it.
That's it.
That's all you
But
get.
instead of me looking at you do it, and I'm like, oh my God, like, uh, uh,
Yeah.
why do I not just reach out like, hey, so that's not my strong suit. What tips can you give me that I
Right.
can use to better myself or that I can pass along? Like,
Right.
I don't, healthy competition is fine,
Mhm. Mhm.
but I don't know that I have the answer for how we can get more people on board with it. Like, I try to surround myself
Mm.
with healthy competition. Like, I have, like when I would take the high schoolers to things, I was a good one for, they knew who I didn't care for. They knew because my face just be out there.
Because you
Like,
can't hide your face.
I
It
just be
just
looking
is what it is.
like, ugh.
It is what it is. Yes.
It is
Right.
what it is. But on the same token, I would say don't act funny to their kids. I'm like, because you don't know when you're going to be in another audition space with them. You don't know who you're going to be in
Ooh.
school with. I'm like, see,
Ooh.
me personally, I
That's
can
it.
act funny because I'm where I'm at. I'm going to work on me. Do as I say, not as I do in this moment, because I am working on my circle and I'm working on me, and I have a specific reason for why I feel how I feel. That, and a lot, quite a few of the cases had nothing to do with dance. It was literally just personality clash. That it's just like, we're not going to be friends, and
And
that's
that's
cool.
fine. And that's
But
different.
don't you do their kids dirty, because you
Boom.
never know when y'all
It's
gonna have to be together.
Ooh, it's the one thing I stress to my students all the time. Like, you cannot automatically make an assumption of, I don't like them because they go here. I don't like
Mm-hmm.
them because they are in this dance squad or this cheer team or whatever the case may be.
Yes.
You don't get that right to make that assumption off the back. Unless you have had a personal encounter with someone, you've sat down and
Mm-hmm.
created a whole conversation connection and then it just didn't work out,
Yes.
that's when you can say, okay, I have my reasons. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that you get to go over to them and treat them the same way or have the same,
Yes.
internalize the same feelings that I might have for my own personal reasons. And that
Mm-hmm.
is the thing that and I feel very deeply in my heart that dance teachers need to make sure they stress to their
Yes.
students. Like, yes, I might have my personal issues with a teacher over here, but you don't dare treat her students like that. You treat
Yes.
them with kindness and respect and give them the same energy
Mm-hmm.
that they are giving back to you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to
And
treat them
even if
that
they don't give you that energy, because my kids were on the receiving end of that a lot. Look, when I catch a bridge on fire, I burn shit down. Like I be out here. The
way.
land is now barren. You can never build upon it again.
Oh
Like
no,
if
Julie.
we if we catching this thing on fire, I want to
No.
see that joker burn. Let
No.
the ashes drift downstream. And so my kids have been on the receiving end of it. And yet and still I will tell them, you don't have to be like that though.
But
I'm
you
like, that
don't
ain't y'all
have to be
problem.
like that.
You still have to be respectful and
Yes,
professional. Be
and
cordial.
professional.
I'm like, I'm not saying go have dinner with them. You ain't got to do all that if
But
you feel
it's a
uncomfortable,
respect
but
level
be
that
respectful
yes,
because you never know. I was like, and I'm like,
you don't.
yes, in theory, it applies to them too. They never know when they're going to see you again or when they might need something from you. I was like, but it won't be said that you were the one who was out
That
of pocket. I was like, that
was
won't be
out
said.
of pocket. Yeah.
I'm like, they can hate me all they want. I was like, but
It
also,
everyone
that ain't y'all's
remembers
problem.
how you treated them. They will not
Yes.
remember 100% what you did, but they will remember how they felt
Yes.
when they were in your presence and the way
Yes.
that you treated them. They will never, that's something no one is ever going to just let go. And I always try to,
Facts.
I'm always stressing that to my students. I oftentimes have to say, yes, I know this person who danced in this play. Oh, you were trying to audition for so and so. I know them. Let me make a call. And they're like, how do you know? Oh, I danced with them when I was 8 years old. I danced with her when I was like 15. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you know the? Oh, I danced with her in college. You danced with so and so in college?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah, I just danced with her across the dance floor in an African dance conference
Yes.
all last year. And they're like,
Yes.
how do you know? I'm like, it's because when I meet people,
Mm-hmm.
I make connections. I treat them as best as I possibly can without
Yes.
feeling like I'm disrespecting myself.
Mm-hmm.
Keyword, without feeling like I'm
Yeah.
disrespecting myself. And we keep that mutual thing going.
Mm-hmm.
You have to remember that. Whoever you went to, high school, middle school, college, might be that person in the same audition as you or sitting on the other side of the
Look.
table
Look.
booking you for that job.
Say that part.
Because
Say that.
Lord knows there have been instances where I have had like a student go and audition and they tell me the name and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh,
I'm like,
oh,
oh, shut
okay. Let me
up.
shoot her. And they like,
Yes. Let me text her real quick. Let me like,
how do you what? And I'm like, yeah, that's how you build community.
mm-hmm.
But if again, going back to if the children are seeing the adults be in the space
Yeah.
acting in this type of way, they're going to start immediately doing the same thing
That is
to
true.
other dancers. And that's not cool. And they
Yeah.
won't learn how to initially build that community. And they
Yeah.
don't got and like you said, we don't got to be best buds, but
Yeah.
this that we are in connection through our genuine love of dance. We both have a genuine love of dance. You love
Yes.
dance, I love dance. Let's talk about dance all day. I will talk we will talk it till the sun comes up and goes
Yes.
down and comes up again. You want to do that? I will do that with you. However, doesn't mean y'all got to be the best friends.
And,
Like,
and there's that
and that's
misconception.
the misconception, and that is where we experience these angst, these situations
Mm-hmm.
in the community where students don't even know why they mad at somebody because they go to another dance studio. You just mad
Yes.
because your teacher's mad at this person, this
And you
other
know
teacher,
what?
or this
That
other
just
studio owner.
how that just clicked in my head is there's a difference between dance community and your personal dance circle.
Boom, boom. There
Everybody
it is.
ain't gonna be in your circle though,
Everyone is not.
but we still need to uphold that community.
Right.
We can be in the same community without you being in my circle. And that is fine. And I think that right there might
That is it.
help
Mm-hmm.
students really understand that, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe they did have a personal experience with someone that they're like, no, I don't care for them. And it's
Right.
like, but in order to grow the community, be professional, be cordial, but you ain't got to be best friends. That means they're in your circle.
Facts. Facts. All the
You
facts.
can be all the professional without them being in your circle. Those are different
Facts.
situations. Those are different
Facts.
groups.
All of the facts you're
Because I'm
spitting.
like, I love, and I'm
All
like,
of them.
I will smile in people's face all the time. And then later, I'm just like, they make
Facts.
me anxious. Like, I may not
Right.
hang out with you,
Right.
but I know I want to still keep the lines of
The
communication
lines.
open,
Yeah.
but
Like,
also we're not going to be best friends. And that's
and that's
okay.
okay. And that is one of the all I'm giving all the hand
Yeah.
claps for that because reality speaking, like we already know sometimes dance is placed in the like lower end of art.
Yes.
We know that
Sometimes,
I'm
sometimes,
being polite. Okay, I'm being polite
sometimes,
more than sometimes. Okay,
redheaded stepchild. That is
get in
us.
the corner, get in the corner. That's dance.
No
Get in the
love. No
corner.
love.
No
Y'all
love.
be over there.
Yeah, I mean, the reality of it is we know about all of the different arts that happen all across the board except for dance. We are
Mm.
consistently fighting for equality on the list
Yes.
of arts. We're consistently fighting for money, for
Mhm.
support, for funding, all around for everything that we do. So I know for sure that if we start acting as though we are in always consistent, heavy ass
Mhm.
competition, we not going like who what? Oh, y'all want fun now? Y'all can't even get it together over there. Why am I giving
Say
you
that.
something? Why am I
Say
gonna give you
that.
something? No, and that is the problem. Like we are all we got in terms of this dance world. And yes,
Mhm.
we have pockets of dance communities within the overall dance world. But
Yeah.
if it wasn't for all of us working in our specific areas of genius, our specific
Mhm.
areas of expertise, this
Yes.
dance world would be lacking. And then
Look.
all of the rest of the world wouldn't have this good old loveliness that we given. Because they sure enough know for 100% that they wouldn't get these online shows throughout this pandemic, these
Mm.
TikToks. Look, TikToks is another story for another day. But we
Look.
already know all the dances that were created for you to go boom, bah, and
Yes.
all on TikTok
Yeah.
came from a dancer. So we gave you this entertainment
Mhm.
when the world shut down. These online performances that you could log in for free,
For the
99.
free. For the free. Yes.
Many dance companies were giving you these
Mhm.
opportunities to watch classic works that you couldn't even see in person if you didn't live in that state.
Mm. Yep.
The dance world did that. So if we internally are consistently looking at each other like, I got to fight for this scrap against you, this
Mhm.
one piece of crumb against you, which is always annoying to me that we have to fight each other for a piece of the pie.
Look.
I'm
I'm
not going
like,
to do that with you.
I'm like, can we not
I'm not.
just together bake our own?
Huh, that's a whole word that you just spit. Okay? A whole,
Like,
like, why do we have to consistently be at odds? Like one of my friends had to let me know, hey, I know you're applying for this grant, but I'm also applying for this grant too. I'm like, I don't care.
yeah.
Clap it up. If you win, clap it up if I win. Clap it
Yes.
up if we both don't win. Because
Look,
you
we
know
will
what I'm saying?
support each other
We
in
will
that.
support each
Yes.
other. But we always have to feel like we have to fight for this last piece of crumb
Mhm.
against somebody else who is doing brilliant work too. Why do
And
we have to put each other against each other like that?
and I'm gonna go there, step further.
Step further.
So the Black dance community, I'll be like,
I can't.
ooh, y'all be making me
Are we
want to
going there?
say some
Are we going
things
there? Are we
because
going?
then it gets a million times worse. And
Woo.
I'm like,
Listen.
nigga, I won't fight you. I'm
Li-
trying to be with you. Like, can we have each other?
And,
And
and
then
that is
we fight
woo,
them and then get this together as just dance. And then as dance, we can fight with everybody else. Can we please build together instead of
that
always fighting? Like,
that
can
was
we
my post. That was my post
this?
that we were talking about. where I'm just like, we can be in the same field and we could do kind of the same things and we both be great. And there's no competition.
And there's none.
I don't got to fight you because you know Dunham technique and I know Dunham technique. Let's study together because
It's
I'm gonna
like,
need some support because I can't remember this. You study with me, I can show you some things, and then or you are an amazing, amazing black dance artist, and you are creating something that is totally wonderful, but also the same idea as me.
look,
Does that make me your enemy? No, let me see how I can be inspired by you, or let me do my own thing over here and still clap it up for you. We are
yes.
not we should never in the black dance community be at each other's throat. With the
It
legacy we
be
follow,
tooth and nail.
we don't need to do that.
We
If we
cannot.
know anything from our predecessors, they created their own works and still were able to support each other. Dallas Black Dance Theater, Cleo Robinson Parker, Arthur Mitchell, Ailey, the list goes
On
on
and
and on. They
on.
were all around at the same time frame, the 1960s. They all created
They
their
were
own
all
all
out here.
around during the
Yes.
same time frame and
Yes.
still was just like, all right, you got something going on over there? All
Like,
right, I
cool,
got
cool,
some
cool.
dancers who are moving to New York. They want to try out. Or I got some dancers moving down there in Denver. They want to try out.
Mhm.
Come
Or
on.
my absolute favorite. Oh, let's collab.
You want to
Why
come?
is that so hard? And I'm just like, can
What
we?
we doing? You want to create some work on my dancers? Absolutely, I'd love to have you. You know what I mean? Like, why can't we do that? That is one of the things that really boggles my mind. But
Yes.
other companies who are not black will do that with no hesitation and never feel any type of
Mm.
competition between the two. And could be in the same town,
Hmm.
same city and never feel the same competition. But we
Yes.
could be in the same town addressing the same style of dance and feel offended or feel like we're in direct competition. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, we're
Yes.
not. If anything, we're enhancing the level of dance here by offering two
Hmm.
different views, whether we offer African dance or modern or contemporary, it don't matter. Your ideas and vision are going to be, no matter what, very different from my ideas and
Yes.
vision because you're going to have a way of approaching it that is your unique way of doing it. And
Hmm.
I'm going to have my way of approaching it that is my unique way of doing it. But that doesn't mean we're in direct competition. And the
Exactly.
world will make you feel like you're fighting each other in order to be seen.
Hmm.
Don't do that.
Yes.
You can build up your own audience, your own
Mm.
fan group, or whatever the case may
Mm.
be, based off of what you generate. Don't make the
Yes.
world make you feel like you have to be in direct competition with each other. Healthy competition, yes. I'm inspired what you're doing by what you're doing. Let me get
Yes.
out here and do these sit-ups so I can get up on this pole and do whatever you doing over there.
Thank
But
you.
I'm
Like
not
healthy competition was
healthy
like, oh,
competition.
she over here rocking it. Okay, let me go
Listen,
ahead. Let me go ahead and work on another thing.
let
Let
me
me go
get
ahead. Let me
exactly.
get my
I,
stuff
I
together.
have seen so many people posting some stuff on Instagram, and I'd be like, "Ooh, I need to. I haven't danced in a while. You have inspired me to
Yeah.
go dance. Let me
Mm,
go move. Let me
yes.
go dance." Like, who was posting? I was posting something for Black History Month, which
Hmm.
also inspired somebody else to post something for Black History Month, which inspired somebody else to keep
Yes.
going and keep posting something. So they now have been posting something after Black History Month because they
Hmm.
haven't been dancing. But that's what it should be doing. We should be
Yes.
inspiring each other, not competing with each other. And when we
Yes.
compete with each other, there are no winners.
None.
None.
None. And because I remember when I was working on my MFA,
Oh,
chat that
okay.
process.
Yeah.
And I remember one of the conversations that came up is, well, is dance dead or is it dying?
Mm,
And I'm like, that unhealthy competition will be the death of us. Because if we
wow.
don't love it enough to find the ways to build connections, to build the bridges, to uplift the field, to help it to expand and grow, including teaching students to also want that for the field,
Right.
it will die.
Right.
It will. And to me, death of dance does not necessarily mean that there'll be no dance movement ever, because it's ingrained in like humanity.
Mm-hmm.
There will be movement,
Mm-hmm.
but it won't be it as we know it. It won't evolve.
Mm-hmm.
It'll become stagnant. That is what I dislike. That feeling of I'm stuck here and I can't
Right.
do anything past, which, you know what, real talk, that was my issue with ballet. Because I had teachers who were stuck. And so by the time I got into classes where like they were able to like find freedom in it,
Yeah.
I was already so done that
Because of those.
I
Yep.
could not make that connection.
Mm-hmm.
I was an adult before. I was at Hollins getting an MFA before I
In the
had.
pinnacle, at the pinnacle of your part of your dance career.
Look,
You know?
that was when I finally got a
Right.
dance teacher who was like, yeah, but no, there should be like freedom of movement in this. Like you have to be able, and I'm just
Right.
like, ain't nobody ever
Yeah.
said that in all the years that I've taken it. Nobody's ever said it. So, and I'm like, to this day, what is real hilarious to me is I can say that to students
Mm-hmm.
and help them work past it. I still can't get myself past it.
It's a process.
Child, let me tell you,
It's a process.
me in anybody's ballet class, I tears immediate, and it's like, and they're like, "Are you okay?" And
Yeah, it's all
in the
right.
class, the teacher stopped. Bless her heart. She was like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "I'm fine. I'm gonna just be over here crying. It's okay
Oh,
though.
you
I'm
were
gonna just
crying?
cry while I'm here. So just ignore me."
Oh my God.
Like sobbing.
Okay.
I had to be a distraction. Um, sobbing in class, but I was still able to at least mentally take in that information to pass that on to my students, because I didn't
Right.
want them to ever feel like that.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
like, even if that's not your preferred genre of dance,
Mm-hmm.
you should never feel as though it's completely unattainable for you. You can just be
Right.
like, you know what, this ain't my style.
Right.
Like, it just
Right.
is not. Like me and jazz, I love jazz. I'll take a jazz class. Am I
I
the
love
best at it? No, not at
But
all.
it's the feeling.
But the feeling that I'm like,
Yeah.
it's not my strong suit, but I love it.
Right. Right.
And it's attainable. It's,
Mm-hmm.
I can find the connections in it, and I
Mm-hmm.
can always tie it back into something else. I've gotten better at it. That is now like one of my favorite things to teach. Surprisingly, I'm like,
Hey.
yes, transition. Number one will always be improv and composition. Always. I will improv all day if you let me.
I like
They need to let me teach an improv class at this school, because yes, I'm here for it.
Give
But
it.
just being able, the fact that I can get almost the feeling I get in an improv class once I'm comfortable, because stranger danger at first, but like once I get comfortable,
That part.
when I can get that feeling in another class, that's how I know I'm making these connections and I'm understanding these things.
Right. Right.
And part of that has, again, been that sense of community, that I'm like, okay, it is safe for me to mess up in here. They
Right.
get it. They understand.
Right.
Somebody might just pull me to the side, like, hey, make sure you do blah, blah, blah. And that'll help with that.
Right.
Or I can pull them over. I'm like, help, save me.
I don't get it. Can you go over this?
Like, please, like, run that. I just need that 8 counts right there. Just
Mhm.
do that. Just do it like 10 times real quick.
Right.
Just real quick. Help.
Mhm. Right.
And I can do that as a student. I do it as an educator, like talking to other educators.
Right.
And I pride myself on doing it as an educator talking to my students.
Mhm.
Because real talk, and this goes back to folks letting their ego go, I've had students who are better at some forms than I am. And I have had to be like, So I'm
Oh,
gonna need you to come up here.
you be my demonstrator for the day, okay?
You're gonna be up here in the
You
front
gonna
with
be
me.
demonstrating right now
Like, come on, boo. You
because
up here with me.
my knees ain't trying to do the thing. So you
Mm-mm.
do this right here. I know. I've had those moments. I've had those moments.
And I'm like, to be able to do, and I think the difference is because I've had students who like at we'll go with Studio X because I'm being a good Christian girl today. Minus
You
cursing,
good.
it's fine. But
It's all right. It's all right.
I've
We
had
feel real
students
regular.
who they had to demonstrate in that environment,
Uh-huh.
but it wasn't, they didn't receive that instruction to demonstrate from a place of, you know what you're doing. I
Hmm.
trust you. Like you have this
You have.
knowledge.
Hmm.
I don't
Right.
know it as well. You got it. That in that environment, it was a do it exactly how I told you to do it because I don't feel
Woo.
like doing it. And not gonna hold you. There's been moments where I'm like, child, I'm tired. My knees, my
Right.
back.
Hmm.
I'm gonna go. You're young and vibrant. My
Young
kids
and
hate when
you
I
can do
say
all
it.
the things. Yeah.
All the I'm young and vibrant. Go run it again.
Hmm.
But the majority of the time, for me, it was literally a oh, but you actually really got that.
Hmm.
Do it. Like I
Right.
trust you. I
I
that
trust
part, I
you.
trust you.
Right.
Do it because building that community does involve building the community in your classroom. That
Right.
is a whole that is a community in
Community in
itself.
itself. Yes. And it starts there.
It does.
Starts
Yes.
there and it resonates on out. So when we're talking about community, we have to model it on all levels.
Oh,
Teacher,
yes.
teacher, educator to educator,
Mm.
educator to student, student to teacher, student to student. There are so many levels of community that has to be shared and shown and
Mm-hmm.
received.
Yes.
Like whenever I share a combination and I see a student is not getting it, and I know there's another student that has it, I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, partner up,
Yes.
get together, like
Yes.
go over it with her step by step. Y'all got 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And they might not know each other like that, but I guarantee after that combination and having to really break it down, they get to
Yes.
see what type of person they really are in that space. Are they gonna like, "Ugh, I'm too good for this. Why you got me partnered with her?"
Mm-hmm.
That's when I gotta check the child.
Yep.
That's when
Say
I
that.
realized he or she did not get that lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Or is it one of those children that rises to the occasion and is like, you know what? Let me help you. Let me show you what makes
Mm-hmm.
this easier for me to do it is doing it this
Yes.
way. And then when I see that happen, my heart be like, ooh,
Yes.
because
Oh,
that
I love
person is
that.
starting to create community within
Yes.
themselves. And all I
Yes.
had to do is step back and look.
Yeah.
And
Oh my God. Yes. I absolutely love that.
I love
Like
that.
when I see it click for them,
Hmm.
and I'm just like, yes, there you go.
Yeah,
There you go.
that's what I was
Yes.
just asking for all along. I mean,
Like that's
that's really
it.
what I wanted to know. That's all I wanted to know.
That's
Like
it.
nothing more. And but
Yes.
that's the first interaction with community that they will have.
Mm,
Like
yes.
they will always have that interaction first, which then trickles into the same way you just said, that trust of I want you to demonstrate this. And knowing that I trust you and that we've built this community from student to teacher,
Mm-hmm.
that I'm secure in the fact that you know what you're doing.
Yes.
And you're secure in the fact that you're trusting me to know the same, that I know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm doing. You're trusting
Yes.
me to teach you as well as I'm trusting you to be able to absorb this and go for it and freely
Yes.
go for it with full confidence. And
Mm,
when a student feels like they are supported in that way, in that community vibe, man, those
yes.
students, you could see them. It goes from like internal shell
Mm,
to
yes.
like, oh, really? You want me to
I was
do
like,
you want me to do it again?
what? I had this idea for a piece. Do
Yeah.
you think
You think I could give you
oh,
one?
when that
Yeah.
oh every time I'd be like,
Right.
yes.
I'm always like,
Send
okay,
me the
yeah.
music.
Let me hear what you gotta say. I'm not gonna tune it out. Y'all like, okay, you have an idea, but it's the very introduction of
Mm,
allowing them to feel like they are a part of something and
yes.
not like do this the way that I told you to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Because then they become adults where it's barking orders as opposed to let's work
Yes.
together to create what we need.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they're going to be a dancer or not, they have to learn how to work together to create the world
Yes.
and environment that they need.
Exactly. And for the people who struggle with letting that ego go, I'm like, if you can let it go long enough to build that trust,
Right.
then they'll follow you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hell and high water.
They
They
will
will
follow you.
trust that you know what you're doing, and
Mm-hmm.
you won't have to force that listening and force that quote unquote respect, because it's more so a fear. And I'm like, a little bit of fear is always healthy for you, a little bit. But I'm like, I always needed my students to trust me. And I would say,
Right.
like, and I would say that verbatim, I'm like, trust me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm not going to ever tell you anything that will hurt you unless
Mm-hmm.
I'm being sarcastic, in which case, please understand what sarcasm is.
Right.
Like, please don't do stupid stuff. Like, work with me on that, because
Yeah,
I be
right.
talking slick. But I was like, when I am like, because I always been good for, I yell. I'm loud. I be yelling at people without realizing I'm yelling.
Listen, I'm a whole New Yorker. I'm from the
Yes.
Bronx. My husband tells me I don't know how to talk at the lowest tone, and
Look.
I'm trying in my age. I am learning that I do talk very loud.
Yeah, look.
Don't know. I don't
It
know I'm talking loud, but I
it took
talk
until
loud.
adulthood that I was like, oh, I do be loud, huh?
Yeah. Oh man. You know it's all right. We can on that. It's
Yes.
that.
I'm like, look, it's that big city life. It's that,
You
because
know,
Detroit
Detroit.
what?
I was about to say that's Detroit in you.
And I mean, when these
Detroit in
kids,
you. You
because
already
when I
know.
tell you, like, mess up my choreography if you want to,
You
first thing
won't
that's
hear
happened, I
it.
was like, all right, so first of all, that's not what I taught you. Do it again. Run it from the top. Do it again. Do it again. All right, do it one more good time. Do it
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
And
yeah.
they're like, eh. But on that same note, I build a sense of community with my dancers
Hmm.
that they trust. And first of all, there's been a few who, more than a few, violated that trust. That's
Aw,
going to be a whole different episode. I'm
aw.
going to drop names. But
I can't.
the ones who have not, and I'm not saying that they've never been upset with me. I'm like, oh no, be mad. I'm like, because I'd be
Uh-huh.
mad at y'all too. I was like, but they're always able to circle back and be like, all right, yeah, I don't like how you spoke to me.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, my feelings were hurt. And I'm like,
Okay.
that's fair. I apologize. Like, I didn't intend to hurt you, but I did intend for that energy to be there. Like, I meant what I
Right,
said,
right.
but hurting you was not a part of what I wanted for that. So I do apologize. And I'm like, and I had no issue apologizing when I'm wrong, because I know, again, in adulthood is when someone finally put words to it. They're like, you're abrasive when you,
Hmm.
like, when I'm passionate. And dance, I
When you're
am like, I
passionate.
can't help it.
Yeah.
I love this, and I be dead serious about it.
Yeah.
And I very much, because of the way I was taught in band is how I teach dance. I just get to the point. Like, let me just tell you whether it was good or not, what I need you to fix, and then we're gonna run this again from the top. Like,
Right.
I was not taught to be coddled or told it's
Hmm.
okay, like you did really good on this. It was always, what happened in this measure?
Zoom, zoom, zoom.
What was that? You need to
Yeah.
do XYZ to fix it. And so I have worked on saying more positive affirmations and speaking life
Giving
into my
more.
students.
Giving more.
I
Yes.
have worked on that.
It's
And
all
that was
good.
a conscious effort. But at the end of the day, truly will always be on some shit when she's in a rehearsal. Like, they about to find out today at this meeting that we got in a little bit, because the
But
first thing
it's
that's going to be out my mouth is, all right, so I know you have questions. I say, let me know what things you need clarified. We'll go through it. I'm also making cuts next rehearsal, because I
mm-hmm,
don't like trash attached to my name. And if you're not
mm-hmm,
going to work it out, then I don't have time. Like,
mm.
we're on time crunch. We got to get through this thing. And
Yeah.
so I'm always here for it.
Yeah.
Always with the shits. I don't mind. But also, there is a level of trust that I always work to develop, that
Yeah.
they know they are safe talking to me,
Mm-hmm.
and that they know I feel safe talking to them. And like you said, like that's one of the first instances of really building that community
Mm-hmm.
that they'll get. And so by modeling that, you know, I have my bar, no pun intended, is set very high. My
Well,
standards are through the roof, out into the stratosphere. Like standards are ridiculous, almost
mm-hmm.
impossible to meet. Almost impossible. And a lot of my dance babies will tell you it's impossible to please me. So in the moments where they would see me, oh my babies, it was, and I will never forget this, that they did this one performance of this piece that I'm not allowed to post because copyright with the music. Every time I've
Listen,
tried, that Joker gets
the
tagged, and I'm like, ooh,
copyright though.
they be getting me, and I'm like, but it's educational purposes, and they're like, not educational
No,
enough,
not.
and
They
I'm like,
like
oh,
stop.
yes,
Listen, I know.
but they finally danced it, finally, and
Hmm.
so I'm backstage watching, and they come back, and like my babies would always do this, they would come and find me and be like,
What's your
uh,
thoughts? How you
uh,
feeling? Did we
like
do
we did we
good?
do okay? Did we do
Yeah.
okay?
Hmm.
And I was smiling. And then we all started crying. It was so insane
Oh,
because everyone thought something had happened and they were just like,
she's
we
crying.
did it, y'all, because
We
if
did
she's crying, then we
it.
really
Right.
did it. And
Right.
I was like, was it perfect? No, but did you do what I asked you to do? And did you do what I
Right.
trusted you to do with my
What
work?
I trusted you to
Yes.
do. And
Like
it's
you
it's
did that.
that connection.
And
Dance
it
is so
is.
it's dance is so personal at
Mm-hmm.
times. And when we are cultivating young minds to be a part of this art form, there is
Yes.
a level of trust that they have to receive from us and we receive from them.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, like they come to us knowing that either A, they messed up, or B, they did all right.
Mm-hmm.
And our generation, like my dance teachers were throwing water bottles
Look.
or throwing keys. If you got the water bottle, you
Ugh,
messed up. Okay.
yes.
If you got the keys, you did something great. So either
Yes.
way, when they was throwing something, you either was in a good space or you in a bad
All you
space.
knew for sure,
You
something
just
was getting thrown.
just make sure you don't get hit and keep dancing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That was my generation of teachers. And when they were pissed, the word
Mm.
choices,
Ooh,
that was
child.
before a whole censorship was happening with
Ooh.
educators. They were giving us real life experiences. Now I
Mm-hmm.
can't give the word choices to my students because they I don't want to get fired and all the things. However,
I've
I
let some
try to
slip.
make I try to make sure when I'm addressing them that they feel as real as I
Mm.
am. And I
Yes.
try not to like I try to give that balance of, yeah, I ain't like what you did.
Mm-hmm.
However, I did like this choice that you kept doing this. I like that they made this executive decision. I like that you did this. I like
Yeah.
that you did that. They're going to get it all. Good,
Mm-hmm.
bad, and the ugly. And
Yeah.
you're going to turn around and you're going to do this again. But
Mm-hmm.
we're in a space where there is no tension. Like I'm not going to create that type of vibe where I am a drill master to the point of like you can't breathe in this
Yeah.
rehearsal. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? There has to be a level of I'm giving you my personal work on
Mm.
your body and I am expecting you to take ownership of it.
Yes.
And creating that space between us will allow for them to be like, okay, yeah, I didn't do what I ain't really
Mm.
step up. Yeah,
Mm.
you're right. We do need to do it again. And I've heard them say those things out of
Yes.
their mouth. Yeah, Miss Camille, I wasn't really on my
Yeah.
way.
When they be
I,
like, can we do that again,
can we
please?
do that?
Can we
Yeah. And when
just,
they say it, let's do it again, I'll be like, all right, let's do it again. And they
because,
know when I'm about to crack down. They hear
yes.
that voice and they know
Ooh.
my accent. I have no accent at this moment, but when I get angry, there's three levels of accent. It's either the North Carolina or the New York that comes out. I don't know how it happens.
It just be
But
happening, though.
it just be happening. I
It
was in North
happens.
Carolina for a while. So they'll get that like, yo, get it
Yeah.
together. And then they're like, oh, she mad. Okay.
Yes. Look, because at the point that I put some bass in my
The
voice,
base.
then they know. They be like, "Oh, so Detroit."
Yeah,
Okay.
let me pull
So
myself
we
together.
let me fix all my
Mm-hmm.
life because
Uh-huh.
apparently.
Yeah, but it's the space of creating that community of trust
Yes.
and knowing that I wouldn't give this to you if I wasn't connected to it in such a
That
way and I
part.
didn't think you could do it.
That part
So I'm
there.
expecting you to show up for yourself, to show up for me, and to show up for this work that I'm giving you. And I'm
Yes.
not, I don't half step, don't half ass,
Mm.
give
No.
all of this. And I'm
No.
not changing a thing.
You better say that part because I'll be
I'm
like,
not
and that's the
changing it.
choreography though.
I be considering it, but I'm like, nah,
No. Like
you
that.
do this. I
Figure
taught
it
you
out.
how to do it. Do it. Figure it.
Thank you.
Y'all figure out how to fix this. And no, you didn't do it. Let's
Yes.
do it again. But they know that I'm not gonna let them just sit back and just fall back in this
Hmm.
space of comfort. And that is
Yeah.
where we trust each other. Like they
Yes.
trust me to push them. I trust them to rise to the occasion. If we are not
Yes.
creating that space for our students, then they're not gonna learn how to trust themselves to be in a space with a room full of
Hmm.
dancers, knowing that all of them are great. They're
Yeah.
gonna fall back. Well, I can't do that. I guess I'll stand in the back. No, it's an audition. Go to the front.
Hmm.
Go out to the front. Make sure you see them, they see you, you see what the steps are. You set that
Yes.
up now. So when they get out in the world and the world is trying to hit them over the head with all types of things,
Hmm.
they don't have to question if they trust themselves because they
Yeah.
know they had a community of people who trusted them and believed in them and sowed a level of support into them.
Hmm.
They poured into them so that when they're in this world, the world can't beat them down to a place where
Mm.
they feel nothing for themselves. So, community
Yes.
starts from their level all the way up.
Oh, yes.
Hmm.
Wow, that I think that is the perfect pin at the end of this. Like that's where it starts.
Yeah.
And we need to all be contributing.
Hmm. No
And again,
competition.
just keeping in mind that there are levels. There are
There are
levels.
levels to
It's
this.
not a all or nothing.
Yeah. Hmm.
It's we just have to figure this thing out,
Right.
especially those of us who look like us. Can we please do better? Because I feel like that
Who
needs to
it's
be a whole
it's
separate
one of the things, and I
episode.
will say that is one of the things I didn't get to say, but
Mm,
it's one of the reasons why I created my organization, Baltimore Black Dance Collective,
yeah.
because I was in a space where I didn't realize I didn't know that many black dancers. Having
Mm.
lived in Baltimore for like 10 years at the time when I created the
Oh,
organization,
wow.
I was like, I went to a conference in North Carolina, CAD, that I was
Hmm.
telling you to go to,
Yeah.
but we're gonna have to do that in 2022 when the world
Yeah.
can open
We
back
gonna
up.
revisit it.
We're
We
gonna
gonna
revisit that
revisit.
later. But I went there and I met so many people who were black dancers, not only in Maryland, DC area, but in Baltimore. And I'm like, I don't know your work. How come I don't? What you been
Yeah.
doing? Like you don't know me? Okay, I don't know you. You don't know this person? She's been in the community since 1960. You don't know
Hmm.
her? I'm
Yeah.
like, why do y'all not know? Why do we not know each other? Because
Yeah.
we are kept in this separate space. So I was just like, this can't be. If and my students need to see representations of professional black dancers
Hmm.
in their area. And if they're not seeing it, they can't see how to achieve it. So I created
Exactly.
my organization because I wanted us to really have an opportunity to highlight, uplift, and empower black dance in this area so we can all support each other and not be
Hmm.
like scrabbling over here for this grant. No, let me put this grant on the platform so everyone can
Yeah.
see it and not be hoarding information because I don't like hoarders of resources and
Mm-mm.
information. If you know a black dancer could be benefit from this, don't be like, well, I see this post and I'm gonna put this
I was like,
post
well,
on
I'm
my
just
page
gonna
and I'm not
do
gonna
this
share. Oh,
myself.
yeah, after the due date. Yeah, I applied for it, but you didn't.
Ooh, I hate that.
But you
I'm
know,
like, you ain't say nothing to
you didn't
nobody.
say nothing to nobody. Like, oh, okay, you didn't even share that it was out. Like,
Mm,
and that is the thing. Like, we can't be in a space where we want community, but we don't do things that are supportive of community.
yes.
Like you gotta be reciprocal. Like if you
Mm,
want this community that you're looking for so badly, you need to actually pour into it. Sprinkle something into it. Can't
I sure
have
did
what you're
say
not
that
getting.
in a post. I sure did put that in something. I
You
was
can't
like, yeah,
have
it's
what you're
like
not getting.
as you are building circles, make sure you pour back into them too.
Uh, hello,
Be an
you need to
active participant
active,
in said
active,
community and circles.
active, active,
Active.
active,
Because if
and
you're just there to just take, you can go
active,
somewhere else.
active.
Don't mess with somebody else's circle because you don't know how to
I
contribute
gotta say that
anything.
again. Active.
Active.
Because it don't just roll for one person and you
Mm-mm.
take all the resources and extract from it and never pour back into it.
Exactly.
It's a continuous flow. Yeah.
Yes. Hey, so thank you for joining me. I'm gonna fire Daryl up. I'm on record saying this.
Ah,
Fire
no,
him
Daryl,
up.
we miss you.
Like I know he's
I was
working though,
expecting
so
to see
it's
if it's
fine.
okay. He
I
working.
know
He's working.
he is. So we're gonna, of course, have to have you back on with Daryl also,
I'm
so we can have
always
like the full party vibe
yes.
going.
I'm
But
always
if you would be so kind as to let the people know where they can follow you, stay up to date on everything.
Mhm. Sure. So my name is Camille Weanquoi, exactly the same way it is said. Yes.
I was so proud.
So that is my Instagram and Facebook page name. So Camille Weanquoi, you can find me on Instagram that way or on Facebook. I am the co-founder of Baltimore Black Dance Collective, and our website is baltimoreblackdance.com. So you can find us on Instagram as well at Be More Black Dance Collective, and on Facebook as Baltimore Black Dance Collective. And oh, my website, which is
Yes.
my name, CamilleWeonquay.com. So those are all the ways you can find me and the work that I do and chill and hang and
Oh,
create more
yes.
community.
Yes. Always here for it. Like, and thank you all for joining us here yet again at Dance Talk Realness. If you have any questions, comments, observations, or suggestions, feel free to drop us a line across any of the platforms where you can find us. Y'all should know the list by now. If you don't, go back to a previous episode and I do the list at the end because struggles be real, but it's okay. We working on it still. But we look forward to bringing you some fresh new content next week. We'll see you then. Bye.